Asterisk, the galaxy had grown comfortable, too comfortable. Deep space was calm, and most systems believed they were safe. For centuries, humans had been absent from known space. Their warning had been heard long ago, a single message broadcast across the stars: respect the limits, or face the consequences. Most civilizations had forgotten. Some had ignored it. Now, deep space sensors screamed. Red alerts flashed across every screen in the monitoring stations. Energy spikes appeared near the edge of mapped space, far beyond the human sectors. The signals were precise, structured, and deadly. Not random. Not natural. Commander Valen of the Galactic Union froze as he studied the data. This is human, he whispered. His officers turned to him, eyes wide. Impossible, one of them said. Humans haven't been seen in centuries, said another. Yet the energy signatures could not lie. They were unmistakable. The object itself appeared suddenly on the screens. A massive warship, far larger than anything the Union had built, moved silently through hyperspace. No transponder. No greetings. No warnings. Just forward motion, purposeful, relentless. Technicians tried to analyze the ship's course, but the speed and efficiency of its movement baffled them. It bypassed patrol routes, ignored gravitational fields, and avoided detection until the last moment. The humans had come back, not quietly, not as diplomats, but as a force to be reckoned with. Valen gathered his council immediately. Holographic projections of the human warship filled the room. Every leader stared at the massive vessel in silence. None had expected this. Old legends of humanity whispered that their warships were unstoppable, that their tactics were unlike any other species, and that restraint was their only mercy. Now restraint seemed gone. Archivists scrambled to retrieve ancient records, dusty memory cores filled with warnings about humanity. Humans do not negotiate once they give a warning, a historian said quietly. They act decisively, brutally, but only after you force their hand. Valen felt a chill run down his spine. He remembered reading about the first encounter centuries ago. Entire fleets had been destroyed within hours. Planets that refused to comply had been left in ruin. The warning had been simple, clear, and final. Some had listened. Others had not. And now, the galaxy was about to see the cost of forgetting. The human warship slowed as it approached the outer Union systems. Sensors detected energy signatures activating along its hull, weapons, shields, and propulsion systems all running at full capacity. The size alone was terrifying. The sheer mass of the ship dwarfed nearby Union vessels. Civilian fleets began evacuation procedures. Worlds near the human path sent their populations into jump drives and emergency shelters. Military units scrambled, trying to form defensive lines, but the humans did not appear to recognize their presence. Every measurement indicated a ship that did not negotiate, did not pause, and did not hesitate. Valen leaned over the command table, studying the projections. "This is not a test," he said. "It is not an attack. Not yet. It is a warning fulfilled." Then the first message arrived. Simple, direct, no formalities, no explanations. "Galactic Union," the voice said, deep and calm, "you have been warned." The room went silent. The transmission ended before anyone could respond. Valen stared at the flickering screen, heart pounding. The words were brief, but the meaning was clear. Humanity had returned, and their patience had ended. Sensors detected smaller craft emerging from hidden folds of space. Not a fleet, not formations, hunters, scouts, machines of war built to strike with precision. The humans were ready, waiting for any threat to show itself. Union scientists and officers tried to calculate probabilities. Every model failed. The humans did not act according to known physics, military tactics, or strategy. They were unpredictable, controlled, and terrifying. Valen realized the truth. The galaxy had grown arrogant. It had forgotten the first warning. And now humans were here to remind everyone why restraint existed and why it could no longer be counted on. Outside the command stations, stars twinkled quietly, unaware of the chaos approaching. Inside, alarms continued to blare. Messages to distant worlds repeated: evacuate. Do not engage. Prepare for humanity. Union officers worked furiously, but fear had already settled in. The humans were not here for negotiation. They were not here for trade. They were here to act decisively and to enforce limits the galaxy had long ignored. Valen looked at the massive human worship on the hologram and whispered, "If this is only the beginning, how much worse can it get?" The answer was clear in every sensor reading, every fragment of historical record, and every terrified face in the room. Humanity had returned. And this time, there would be no restraint. The galaxy had been warned once. Now, the consequences were beginning. The command chamber was silent after the first human transmission. "No one has spoken for minutes," whispered Lieutenant Oran, his hands shaking as he gripped the console. Every officer stared at the holographic projection of the human warship, the Sentinel. It loomed massive, its weapons ready, engines humming with lethal energy. The message had been clear: "You have been warned." Simple words. Deadly meaning. High Commander Valen gathered his top advisors immediately. "Pull every historical record about humanity," he ordered. Military files, civilian encounters, everything. Archivists scrambled, dusted off ancient memory cores, and connected forgotten databases. The projections filled the room with ghostly images of humanity's past interventions. Fleets annihilated in hours. Planets devastated with surgical precision. Civilizations erased because they ignored the warning. Many officers gasped. Some whispered prayers, thinking of the same fate approaching now. "Humans don't negotiate after warnings," said an old historian, voice trembling. "They act decisively, brutally, and efficiently. It's why they are feared. It's why we survived the first time." Valen felt a cold weight settle over him. The Union had grown arrogant. For decades, they had assumed humanity's warning was distant history. Now the past had returned, alive and moving toward them. Sensor feeds showed the human warship adjusting course. Its trajectory ignored the Union fleets, scanning the void with deadly precision. Smaller human craft appeared from hidden folds of space: scouts, hunters, strike ships. Their weapons glowed, engines burning silently. "Waiting. Evacuate nearby systems immediately," ordered Valen. "Notify all civilian fleets. Pull military units to safety. Do not engage unless fired upon." The room hummed with fear and tension. Officers worked frantically, coordinating evacuations, rerouting transport lanes, and reinforcing outposts. Yet everyone knew the humans were not here to negotiate, and their methods were unknown. Archivists brought forward visual recordings from centuries-old conflicts. Images of human fleets moving like predators across space flickered on the walls. Ships that had been heavily damaged kept moving, repairing themselves mid-battle. Enemy fleets were obliterated, often without a single human casualty. One officer whispered, "How can they be so unstoppable?" Another replied, voice low, "Because they don't fight like anyone else. They don't wait for rules, treaties, or mercy. They act to enforce their warning, and they never forget." Valen studied the records, horrified. Every example followed the same pattern. Humanity had given a single warning. If ignored, death followed, swift, absolute, and calculated. No negotiation, no bargaining, no compromise. Those who survived did so because they obeyed. Prepare for contact, Valen said quietly. This is not a drill. The humans are enforcing their warning now. We have forgotten the cost of ignoring them. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Worlds that had once dismissed human warnings began emergency evacuations. Trade routes closed. Allied fleets moved to safe distances. Religious sects declared prophecies fulfilled, omens visible in the sky. Some species tried to form new alliances for protection, but no alliance could match the efficiency, power, and unpredictability of humanity. Meanwhile, the Sentinel and its escort fleet moved with precision. Not in lines or formations the Union understood. Not in defensive patterns. Only a deadly dance that neutralized threats before they could act. Valen's communicator buzzed. Commander, a field officer reported, voice strained. We are detecting multiple unknown energy signatures near the outer rim. They match historical human combat patterns. We can't calculate them. Valen's stomach tightened. They are not patterns for us to calculate. They are instructions. For those who refuse to comply. The humans decide when the lesson begins. And now, that lesson has started. Outside, stars twinkled in silent indifference. Inside, every officer felt the same fear. Not fear of destruction. Fear of being irrelevant. Of being too late to survive humanity's enforcement. Then, the human fleet shifted again. The Sentinel stopped, and smaller ships split off into strike formations. Silent hunters moving toward threats they had already identified. Weapons glowed softly, waiting for a signal that would come the moment a target crossed a boundary. Valen closed his eyes for a moment. This was the galaxy's reckoning. History had been rewritten in fear, not by words, but by the presence of humanity returned. The ancient warning echoed through his mind. Respect the limits, or face the consequences. Now the consequences had arrived. The calm before the storm shattered in an instant. The human fleet moved without hesitation. The Sentinel and its escorts advanced, weapons glowing, engines burning with controlled fury. Union fleets and nearby systems watched in disbelief. It began with a single strike. An alien dreadnought that had been defying evacuation orders vanished in a flash. No warning. No salvo. One moment it existed. The next, it was gone. Sensors recorded a massive energy pulse, precise and targeted. The humans did not aim to destroy randomly. They aimed to enforce. Report, shouted Commander Valen, heart pounding. The communications officer stammered. Multiple ships. Destroyed. No human losses detected. The Sentinel moved forward, scanning and targeting with unerring accuracy. Alien fleets tried to respond, firing beams and missiles. They fizzled harmlessly against human shields. Every attack was countered, every maneuver predicted, as if the humans were reading minds. Small strike ships darted between the enemy lines. They moved like predators, striking weak points no one else had noticed. Entire squadrons collapsed under the precision attacks. Chaos spread through the alien ranks. Panic replaced strategy. Valen felt a cold dread settle in his chest. They're not fighting for territory. For glory. For conquest, he said quietly. They are fighting because the warning was ignored. The humans paused only long enough to assess the battlefield. Then, without hesitation, they delivered another strike. Alien ships disintegrated in energy pulses, not in explosions of fire, but in complete disassembly. Sensors could barely track the fragments. What are they doing? A junior officer asked, voice trembling. Valen shook his head. They are enforcing. Precision strikes, surgical destruction. They leave no mistakes. Reports poured in from multiple sectors. Wherever humans engaged, resistance evaporated. Ships surrendered, retreated, or vanished. The Union's own fleets held their fire, unsure whether to help or stay back. The humans were not here for them. One alien admiral attempted to communicate with the Sentinel. He sent repeated hails, promises of peace, offers of alliance. All were ignored. The humans did not negotiate. They enforced the lesson. Smaller alien vessels tried to escape, slipping through hyperspace corridors. The human strike ships followed them instantly. No vessel was too fast, no maneuver too clever. By the time the Union realized the scope of the attack, entire fleets had been neutralized. Valen's eyes were glued to the holographic display. The Sentinel moved with terrifying efficiency. Every energy spike, every weapon discharge, every evasive maneuver by alien ships was anticipated and countered. The humans did not hesitate, did not pause, did not negotiate. They acted like the galaxy itself was their battlefield. A new transmission appeared across all open channels. This one was calm, direct, and chilling. Compliance ensures survival. Resistance ensures destruction. You have been warned. No one responded. No one dared. The galaxy watched, terrified and fascinated, as humanity's first strike became a lesson in control. No one had fought like this before. No one had survived it intact. And the humans did not stop. As the last alien ship in the sector collapsed under human precision, Valen whispered, This is why we feared them. The humans had returned not for conquest, not for negotiation, but to enforce a rule the galaxy had long ignored. And with that first strike, the lesson was clear. Humanity's patience had ended. The galaxy held its breath. Where the human fleet moved, silence followed. No cheers, no celebrations, only destruction of those who had ignored the warning. The Sentinel and its strike ships advanced methodically, neutralizing threats before they could strike. High Commander Valen monitored multiple sectors at once. Union fleets scrambled to intercept, but every maneuver was anticipated. Weapons failed, shields collapsed, and alien vessels were dismantled with surgical precision. It was not random destruction. It was the reckoning. Why don't they stop? Whispered a young officer. They're enforcing. Every violation, every defiance, Valen said, voice heavy. Every mistake the galaxy has made for centuries is being corrected now. Civilizations that had ignored humanity's first warning suffered the consequences. Entire fleets were gone, systems left defenseless, cities evacuated or destroyed. Other species attempted desperate negotiations, sending messages of peace, surrender, and loyalty. All were ignored. The humans did not act out of anger. They acted with focus, precision, and an unyielding sense of duty. Their goal was simple: enforce the warning, neutralize the threats, and restore order by their rules. Look at the coordination, a scientist said, pointing at the holographic display. Every ship, every strike, every movement. They operate as one. They're not fighting for themselves. They're fighting for the galaxy. Valen swallowed hard. It was true. The humans were not here to conquer or rule. They were here to enforce, to teach the galaxy a lesson that would not be forgotten. Across sectors, alien leaders began to understand the depth of their mistakes. They had ignored humanity's one warning. They had grown arrogant, complacent, thinking that time had weakened human resolve. Now, that arrogance had cost lives, fleets, and worlds. The Sentinel fired another concentrated energy pulse. An alien dreadnought that had tried to escape was reduced to nothingness. Fragments of its hull drifted aimlessly in space, inert and silent. The humans moved on, leaving the destruction precise and targeted, never indiscriminate. Union commanders finally realized the lesson. Humanity's restraint had always been their mercy. When the restraint was removed, no one could survive unprepared. Every species that had underestimated humans now knew the truth. Humanity did not negotiate after warnings. They enforced. And now, the galaxy was paying the price. Valen's communicator buzzed with messages of surrender from distant worlds. "Please, spare us," one voice begged. Another transmitted coordinates of surrendering fleets. Valen realized that the humans would accept compliance, but only on their terms. No one could dictate mercy. Smaller human strike ships moved ahead, eliminating remaining pockets of resistance with terrifying efficiency. Alien fleets dissolved, and the galaxy's maps changed before anyone could comprehend it. Fear spread faster than light, reaching even the most distant colonies. Valen looked at the central hologram of the Sentinel. Its hull was scarred from minor collisions with hostile forces, but it moved onward, unstoppable, relentless. The humans were not here to rule, not here to negotiate, not even here to be admired. They were here to enforce survival. A transmission cut across all Union channels. This time, it was calm, measured, almost courteous. All remaining threats have been neutralized. Compliance ensures continued survival. Do not forget the warning. The galaxy understood in that moment. Humanity's patience had ended. The reckoning was complete. Civilizations would rebuild, but none would forget. None would ignore warnings again. Valen leaned back, exhausted, watching the human fleet move silently through the stars. The lesson was clear. The restraint that had allowed the galaxy to survive for centuries was gone. And when humans removed restraint, the galaxy faced the consequences. Silence followed, broken only by the quiet hum of distant human engines. For the first time, the galaxy realized that survival depended not on fleets or alliances, but on obedience to humanity's one rule: do not provoke us again. The galaxy was quiet. Not the calm of peace, but the heavy stillness that follows survival. Where once fleets and worlds had scrambled in panic, now only drifting wreckage remained. The stars themselves seemed to watch silently as the human fleet retreated, leaving no celebration, no display of victory, only order restored. The Sentinel and its escort ships moved slowly through space, engines burning softly. Hull scars and battle marks gleamed under the faint starlight, reminders of the destruction they had wrought. High Commander Valen watched from his command center, heart still pounding. The lesson had been enforced. The galaxy had survived, but only because humanity had chosen to act. Messages began streaming across Union channels, warnings and reports of the human intervention. Civilizations that had once ignored humanity's first warning were silent. No one argued, no one challenged, no one doubted. Every species understood the truth. Restraint had kept the galaxy alive. And now, the humans' restraint had ended. Medical and recovery units scanned the aftermath. But human ships did not require aid. They moved efficiently, salvaging their own wounded and repairing minor damage with clinical precision. They offered no explanations, no celebrations, no demands. Their actions were their message. Humanity's role was not conquest nor diplomacy. It was enforcement, protection, and judgment. Union historians immediately began recording the events. The galaxy would remember this day forever. The story was simple. The humans had returned, they had acted decisively, and the consequences of ignoring their warning had been absolute. Future generations would be taught to obey, to respect the boundaries, and to never underestimate what humanity could do when pushed. A final human transmission cut across every communication channel. Threats neutralized. Systems secured. Remain vigilant. Humanity will continue to monitor. The message ended, and the human fleet disappeared into folded space. No announcement, no return. Just silence, leaving the galaxy to rebuild in the shadow of what had just occurred. Worlds that had panicked now began emergency repairs, rebuilding infrastructure and fleets, but no one celebrated.